The Silent Symphony, a song in the fog. The winter of 1944 in the Hurtgen forest was a place where the trees themselves seemed to scream. The fog was so thick it felt like breathing wet wool, and the men on both sides were hollowed out by months of freezing rain and hunger. Private Thomas, a cellist before the war, sat in a shallow foxhole, his fingers so stiff he could barely grip his rifle. In his rucksack, wrapped in his only spare sweater, Thomas carried a small, battered harmonica. It wasn't a cello, but it was all he had. One evening, during a rare lull in the shelling, the forest fell into a silence, so deep it was unsettling. Thomas pulled out the harmonica. He didn't play a march or a battle song. He played a soft, aching lullaby, a melody his mother used to hum in their kitchen in Ohio. The sound drifted through the fog, thin and silver. A few moments later, from the darkness of the German lines just 60 yards away, a voice joined in. A soldier was humming the exact same tune. The two melodies met in the middle of no man's land, weaving together in the mist. It was a German folk song that had the same roots as Thomas's lullaby. For 10 minutes, the war vanished. There were no Americans, no Germans, and no borders. There were only two musicians sharing a memory of home. The other men in the trenches, who had been gripping their grenades, slowly relaxed their hands. The music reminded them that the enemy in the opposite hole was likely thinking of the same fireplace, the same mother, and the same fear. The next morning, the fog lifted to reveal a small white cloth tied to a tree branch between the lines. Underneath it sat a small tin of German coffee and a single hand-carved wooden bird. Thomas reached out and left a packet of American cigarettes and a chocolate bar in its place. No shots were fired that day in that small sector. Thomas survived the war and eventually returned to the stage, playing for the great orchestras of Europe. He never knew the name of the man in the fog, but he never played that lullaby without thinking of him. He realized that while the world is torn apart by the noise of iron and fire, it is held together by the quiet songs we sing in the dark. He proved that humanity isn't something we lose in war. It's something we hide, waiting for the right note to call it back into the light.